we have Shareroot and Noah Abelson. Noah?
Okay, perfect. So my name is Noah Abelson Gertler. I am the CEO and co-founder of Shareroot. We are an ASX-listed marketing tech company, and we are focused on protecting consumer data and privacy. The way that we get paid is by companies using our platforms and services in order to remain compliant. So, set a bit of context here to start. Cambridge Analytica and Facebook, right? We all in this room know about the scandal. The reality of the matter is that data and privacy issues have been around for a long time, but it wasn't until this scandal that we started actually thinking about it and realizing. So for instance, did you know that in the majority of countries throughout the world, your ISPs, your internet service providers, think Vodafone, can sell your data to other companies. And there's no limit on what those companies can do with your data. So that data includes things like where are you standing at any given point, on any day, in any week, on any month, even within your house, who you're messaging, what you're messaging to those people, what websites you're visiting, what you're purchasing, what you're typing in to your internet search browser, and so much more. And because of that, consumer trust for companies throughout the world is severely down, which represents an opportunity for Shareroot. We are solving the global demand for data and privacy protection, specifically within the marketing space. So gone are the days where in marketing, companies only needed to get their products in front of consumers. Now it's about actually driving interest and furthermore trust. Consumers need to trust a company's brand in order to buy from them. How did we get to where we are? Take a look at this chart quickly. The red line shows the advancement of technology over time, right? So as technology advances, so does data points, right? More data points are created. The blue line shows the amount of laws and regulations that protect consumers. You see that huge dip on the chart? That was after 9/11. What happened was the US government took the message both internally and externally to other countries and said, look, in order to protect our citizens, we have to be able to survey them online. And the same thing for government organizations, companies, NGOs, no matter what it is, they have to be able to survey consumers. So what did the rest of the world say? They said, great, yeah, great idea. Let's go ahead and decrease the laws and regulations. Well, it took a bunch of data breaches and mass disclosures, think Edward Snowden, for consumers and governments to realize we shouldn't be doing that. So over the last couple of years, the laws and regulations have increased to protect consumer data and privacy. For instance, over the last couple of years, there have been a lot of big lawsuits and fines that have happened. For instance, Google was fined by the EU for over $2.5 billion. Amazon sued and fined, Facebook sued and fined. These are all around data and privacy issues. Again, we just didn't know about it until the Cambridge Analytica scandal happened. Now, everything is changing. This piece of regulation or legislation, which is called the General Data Protection Regulation, went into place on May 25th, right? So just last month. This mandates that all European Union citizens need to have full control over every single data point that they have, and they get to choose which companies they get to share that information with and how long those companies store it. Within 24 hours, the lawsuits started piling up. $8.8 billion US in GDPR-related lawsuits in under 24 hours, right? Now, you may be thinking, okay, that's just Europe. Are these laws actually going to affect the rest of the world? The answer in short is yes. Australia's Privacy Act is being updated to include elements of the GDPR. USA's Privacy Act, same thing. And China's cybersecurity law, in fact, is very similar to the GDPR and has been in place longer than the GDPR. This is just the beginning. More laws and regulations are coming. What about for us as consumers? Like that photo a lot because I think it represents what's going on. We are all inundated with the updates to privacy policies, terms and conditions. And the reality of the matter is those updates only actually account for less than 5% of what companies need to do to become both GDPR compliant and earn our trust again. For instance, throughout every element of American life, Americans' trust is decreasing rapidly, and that is within a country where the laws and regulations to protect consumer data and privacy are some of the lowest throughout the world. And the result is American citizens don't trust media, government, business, NGOs, and more. This is my favorite stat. Over 94% of Americans polled in Chicago disapprove of corporations collecting, sharing, or selling their information. So think about the internet service providers that I mentioned before. It's exactly what's going on. You can't get over 94% of Americans to agree on the most common sense things like, does climate change exist? Or did we get our independence from the British and not the French? Honestly, lower percentages. So what does it affect, these changing laws, what does it affect what we do as consumers online? Everything. And for companies, the same thing. It affects everything they do online. This list shows you what needs to be overhauled on behalf of businesses and companies online, starting with customer identity management, data management, social media and digital marketing, and the list goes on. So that's where Shareroot comes in. What we are doing is we are solving those issues in order of severity. The first is our media consent platform. Our media consent platform is the solution for customer identity and access management. What it does, essentially, for consumers, is it gives you the control over consent. It's a preference dashboard. You log into it, and you get to choose what pieces of data companies collect on you and how long they store it. So for instance, I like Costco, and I use this example a lot. I can say to Costco, look, you can store my first name, my last name, my birth date. You can even track me when I'm walking around in the store with geolocation. But what I'm not comfortable with, Costco, is you knowing my address, my marital status, or how many kids I have. And under the new laws and regulations, companies need to follow by these preferences. For companies, it represents full risk mitigation. I mention that because often people are saying, well, why would a company give the control into the hands of the consumer? Well, if they don't do it, under the GDPR alone, the penalty is 4% of global annual revenue, not profit, but revenue. And by the way, you can get more than one infraction as a company. So this space that media consent is in is called the customer identity management space. Conservative estimate has it at a market size of over $14 billion by 2021. The quote-unquote leader in the space, a company called Gigya, got acquired for $350 million in September of last year. I call them quote-unquote leaders because they didn't give the control to the hands of the consumer. I'll rush through the rest. Big advisory board, which will be driving the future of Shareroot moving forward. We will be incorporating blockchain technology in a few of our platforms and services, so watch out for that. We have a history of working with large-scale brands. Through our 5-year history, we will continue to build on that success. Future milestones, the rollout of media consent, data points protected, consumers coming onto the platform, rollout to companies and brands, and the value proposition is clear. There's no doubt that data and privacy issues for consumers are only going to increase. Our vision is to be the leader in that space, and we're well positioned to do so. Thanks so much. Again, Noah Abelson Gertler, CEO and co-founder. Thank you.